So, how is everyone? I hope you're all well. The Kiely Rodni case, that just keeps bringing more and more stuff that leaves you scratching your head. Just when you think that it cannot be anything else that makes you go, what is going on? Something else does, and you're left, like I say, scratching your head. We've got sheriffs who moonlight as coroners. We've got another sheriff who shouldn't be sheriff yet and has got a potential, let's just say a black mark against his name with regards a minor. And what can I say? I could go on. We've got parties where there was about 300 people there apparently, but we've got no pictures. We've got no evidence that this party really took place. We've got friends who don't seem like friends. We've got pictures emerging that would appear that Kiely could have been propped up in the back. I have to be careful there because I could end up getting emails from, like I've mentioned before, the people who put circles and say, if you stare at this for long enough, you will see John Lennon. Them sort of people. But look, back to serious mode. With regards to the extraction of Kiely's vehicle from the water, a lot of us have followed AWP for some time, and we kind of know how they go about doing things. They're very, very good at what they do. They're very, very professional at what they do. But something went wrong here. In this case, something went wrong. Now, don't get me wrong. This sort of an active investigation isn't generally something that they do get involved in. They're kind of famous for getting involved in cold cases, and, they've solved 20-odd cold cases. And this is not their normal territory. So you could excuse some of the things that happen as being outside of the norm. But again, they're very professional. They're very skilled at what they do. So let's firstly talk about the removal of the vehicle and potential damage to the vehicle. Now, some people have speculated that AWP, they damaged the vehicle when they turned the vehicle in the water. Well, according to the family PI, the car was actually turned by Placer County, not by AWP. It was AWP who located the car, confirmed that there was a body within the car, and then very quickly they were told to step back. And the Sheriff's Department did then take over the removal of the vehicle from the water. And it was actually them that turned the vehicle and then removed it. So AWP didn't damage the vehicle. And they're always been very, they want to protect what they find. So I found it quite difficult to kind of put them in a position where I felt that they would have been the ones who have damaged that vehicle or broken a window because they had to get into it for some reason. I couldn't say that I could see that happening. So no, if there was any damage done in the removal of the vehicle, then that was done by Placer themselves. And that could indeed be something that is confirmed later on down the line. But there is also some quite important elements to this, which originally, apparently, were going to be kept a secret. And that is about how the family found out about Kiely and about her being found. Now, a load of people feel that it was actually AWP who contacted the family and they said that they had found her, so on and so forth, and then that they had contacted law enforcement, whatever had happened along there, and it was done that way. But it doesn't appear that that is the case. It would appear that the family PI was the person who had the task of telling the grandparents that Kiely had indeed been found, and the mum had found out via a sushi chef in a restaurant, and the sushi chef had found out via social media. So I have to question what was seemingly the rush to get the fuck out of Dodge, which seems to be the way in which this went down. Now, don't get me wrong, we're still awaiting a video from AWP, which will perhaps clarify much of the questions that we ask. But for the parents and grandparents to find out about Kiely in that manner, is that right? You tell me. with what else we know and all of these other questions, and the fact that law enforcement kind of felt that it was an abduction, she was literally right where they were looking in water that I still state that the car would have been easily seen from above water level. I showed a picture in a video yesterday. If you haven't seen it, go and see it. If you've seen it, you'll know what I'm talking about. And you can see the car clear as day. Like, people say that the car was upside down and you wouldn't have seen it because it was kind of belly up and it was black. And it's not the case. The car was actually on its side to a degree. You could see the silver through the water quite clearly. This is something, again, that the PI has indeed confirmed via drone footage, that the car was able to be seen. So at the moment, we've got a situation where Kiely was found in her car. We don't know how she got there. We don't know how the car was damaged. Potentially, well, it was rolled underwater to extract it from the water, but we can't be 100% sure. But shown in this picture here, a lot of you will have already seen this, you can see that the back window is also wound halfway down, which would lead you to believe that someone could have been in the back of that car. Maybe the window was wound down to try and get out of the vehicle. You know, if the car was parked up at a party with 300 people, I think that all of the windows of the vehicle would have been perhaps closed and the car would have been locked. I know that people were going in and out of the vehicle because we've heard sort of the stories from Sammy and co about going into the car and charging phones. But I would hope that Kiely, being the sensible girl that she was, would lock a car up and close the windows when there's a lot of people around and potentially drunk and people and adults and, you know, people who shouldn't really be there, people she don't know. So at some point the rear window was opened. Now, don't get me wrong, it could have been that when the car went into the water, someone was struggling about, they could kick the car out of gear, they could kick it in gear, they could press buttons in a panic and windows go. But I don't know whether it's the same in the US, but windows in the UK in the back and a lot of vehicles will only go down halfway for child safety, so children cannot get out and fall out of a vehicle. And that, to me, that window position makes it look like that window was wound down as far as it can. So was that an attempt to escape the rear of the vehicle? Was someone else driving that vehicle? There's been speculation over the positioning of the driver's seat. Again, in the video yesterday, we heard the statement made by AWP and the fact that this will lead to some heavy questions. What did they indeed see when they found that vehicle? What did they see when they looked through the window that made them think that? And look, again, we can speculate and think that maybe it's just because it was the shock of it being an ongoing investigation, and look, there's just going to be questions because of the fact they found it. Placer County didn't find it. They said that they didn't need to search there, and they did on the off chance and found it. So maybe that was what they were referring to. But I'm not so sure. You know, I'm genuinely not so sure. AWP left that area very, very sharp. They didn't tell the family. The family didn't find out via AWP, and that was going to be hidden. And they released that information due to somebody else getting involved. And the PI felt that it needed to be said what was happening because he was getting some things thrown at him that was unjust. So he wanted to set the record straight as to exactly what had happened. But there we have it. There we have it. So that's how the family found out about Kiely being found and being deceased. A PI and a sushi chef in a restaurant who had found out through social media. So there you go. Yet another element of this case that is just an absolute clusterfuck. What are we going to find out next? Catch you all in the next one.